Vice President Kamala Harris out on the trail and vowing to fight. Her message, bring it on. In the meantime, former President Donald Trump testing out some new attack lines. His message, I'm not going to be nice. And change. And on the Republican front, former President Trump is telling his supporters he is not going to be nice. That is despite the fact that he's called for unity just a week ago at the Republican National Convention. During his rally in North Carolina yesterday, he went after Harris in multiple ways. It's really the end of an era for Southwest Airlines. The company is moving away from open seating and making a big shift to assigned seats, but that is not the only change. We've CNN's Athena Jones live for us in New York. Athena, tell us about these changes and what's behind them.
Hi, Brianna. Well, this shift, that's changing. It's a big change for this low-cost airline, and it's all about trying to earn more money. They're making this change because they're under pressure from activist investors, seats on their flights, just like their competitors do, just like United and American and Delta have been doing for years. The people, it makes them very anxious because if you forget to sort of plan for it, you could end up in the last row, middle seat, that sort of thing. So this big change, they hope, will bring in more flyers and make them more appealing. Brianna?
Very interesting. Okay, and when?
Well, Southwest says we'll hear more about these changes in September, so we don't yet have a starting date, but we do know that when it comes to offering premium seats, those seats are going to have more legroom, and so they're going to have to
As long as the flight attendants are still funny in their overhead announcements, I think we can understand some of these changes. Athena Jones, thank you so much. The 2020.
There are new safety concerns for Israel at the Paris Olympics. The Israeli foreign minister delivering a warning to French counterparts about intelligence.
Vice President Harris says this election is a choice between freedom and chaos, taking on the former president without actually saying his name. What we know so far about her campaign strategy and the race to vet her running mate ahead. Now, President Joe Biden and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu are holding a critical meeting at the White House. We have video that you're seeing here from just moments ago before their meeting began. And we're told that Biden is expected to be as forceful as he's ever been in pushing Netanyahu to accept a ceasefire agreement, which sources indicate is within reach at this point in time. And that pressure is expected to intensify even further later this afternoon when they both meet with families of American hostages being held in Gaza by Hamas. Let's get now to CNN senior White House correspondent Keilar Tausche. All right, Keilar, give us a sense of, given Biden's decision to drop out of the race, the White House concerned about what kind of leverage he may have as he's trying to pressure Netanyahu here?
There is
Yeah, and he has on this visit, Kim, meetings with, he's not just meeting Joe Biden and Donald Trump, he's also meeting Kamala Harris. And I wonder how that change in the ticket is maybe changing his calculus, if at all, in how he's approaching this visit.
Well, I think he is approaching this with, one step at a time. You don't come to a foreign country without an ask, and we heard him hint at that ask in the speech yesterday.
Well, that was fast. As he faces a new opponent in Kamala Harris, former President Trump returning to some familiar tactics in his campaign for president. Just listen to what he said to a crowd of his supporters in North Carolina nearly 1 week after he called for unity at the Republican National Convention. Steve?
Yeah, and let's be clear, Brianna, Night's Trump lasted about 30 minutes into his convention speech.
Steve reported last night that J.D. Vance is the only VP pick of him criticizing childless cat ladies. You even have Jennifer Aniston, actress, coming out about this. What is Trump saying?
In the swing states of Arizona and Nevada, Brianna.
Just to be clear real quick, Steve, he said he knew this was going to happen, that Harris would end up at the top of the ticket. Is that what your reporting about what his campaign was preparing for indicates?
They certainly were.
Contorno, thank you so much. Boris? A new report shows the U.S. economy coming in much stronger in the latest quarter than Wall Street was expecting, and that could mean the Fed may have successfully completed a high-wire act, getting inflation back under control without knocking the economy into a recession. CNN business anchor Richard Quest is joining us now with more on this. Richard.
It does start to look like they've managed to do the old, because this number at 2.8, when taken with the Fed's core inflation level does suggest the Fed can reasonably.
People hoping that they could get low interest rates again.
No.
Not going to happen anytime soon.
No.
What does it mean
No.
for Americans?
What it means is we're back to the old days, the days of 2-3%. Then your money goes further, and there is a sort of, you're not having this frantic, I can't afford the groceries when you go shopping.
Yeah, they are mighty expensive still. Richard Quest, thank you so much.
Thank you.
New data from the CDC reveals something pretty alarming, that infant deaths are up in the U.S., and it is the biggest spike that we've seen in 20 years. More than 20,000 babies died before reaching the age of 1 in 2022, which was the last full year of accounting. The mortality rate was highest among Black infants. We have CNN medical correspondent Meg Terrell here with more on this data. This is awful, Meg. Tell us what we're seeing.
Yeah, Brianna, it's really startling. Turns in the other direction.
Yeah, very curious about what's behind that. Meg Terrell, thank you so much. Coming up,
We're following these major developing stories and many more, all coming in right here to CNN News Central.
as President Joe Biden meets right now with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at the White House, sister company HBO, a drama supposedly inspired by the Murdochs feuding. The New York Times reports Murdoch's 4 children are in court over who will eventually control News Corp, his $19 billion empire. The family feud pits Murdoch and his eldest son Lachlan against the 3 other siblings, James, Elizabeth, and Prudence, his eldest child. Joining me now.
There was a powerful moment on the House floor today that we want to share with you. Democratic Congresswoman.
How amazing to see that. And this actually isn't the first time that Wexton is something, you know, she's struggling with. It presents somewhat similarly to Parkinson's and some of the symptoms. And President Biden signed into law the National Plan to End Parkinson's Act, which was named in part for her. She's really making history.
Really a special moment, and one that is unifying in these rare circumstances where you have a very divided Congress. It's heartwarming to see that.
Yeah, it certainly is. The Lead with Jake Tapper starts right now.